Komatsu WA1200 is a big mining class wheel loader and it weighs around 220 tonnes. This review looks at two versions. Model 889 is in Komatsu yellow and model 88901 is a limited edition in white. The packaging for both versions of the model is pretty much identical and it comes in its own outer shipping container. And inside, the Komatsu branded box is held in place by spacers. This is the white version of the model, so there's a 01 on the model number. And it's good to see that full use is made of the model box to include some specification details about the real wheel loader. This white version is a limited edition with only 100 models made, and it's only available from Modell OVP of Germany. With all the niceties done, let's now open the box and see what's inside. There are the usual pair of trays, but there are instructions also telling you how to unpack the model. Turning the trays upside down, we see there are two securing screws, and these have to be undone to release the model from the bottom tray. After undoing the screws, you can make sure they're released by pulling out the plastic holders. And then with the trays the right way up, we can cut the sealing tape. With that done, we can see the model's inside and the paintwork is protected by soft paper. After that, it's a matter of carefully lifting out the model, and it is quite heavy. The white model included a bag with a couple of spare indicators for the light stalks, but for some reason these weren't included with the yellow version. There was one small issue on the white version of the model where the roof aerial had become detached, but using our old friend super glue we made sure that the aerial came to a sticky end. There's no assembly to do on these models because they are complete out of the box. Looking underneath the model, there is a good level of detail, and the transmission to both axles is modelled well. The big rubber tyres are soft and hollow, and it's good to see that the inside faces of the wheels have been modelled. Looking at the back, the radiator grille is really good and it has real perforations. And there are more nice grilles on the sides of the engine enclosure. Up on top, the exhausts and air intakes are modelled in tough plastic. The cab is nicely modelled with good controls inside, and there's also a trainer seat. The details at the pivot point are good with the hoses and the drive shaft being visible. The loader arms are heavily built with discrete rivet connections, and the rams have got both a decent colour match and hydraulic hoses. The big bucket is very good, although it is surprising that two big silver screws are visible. But as a metal casting there is some very nice detail. The handrails on the model are metal and they're very straight, and the cab mirrors are metal too. One of the few bits of plastic is the light stalks at the front. As a model, the standard yellow version is identical to the white one, and as it's the standard Komatsu colour scheme, it will be much more common. For the features, we'll start by looking underneath the model, and the big wheels turn freely. Wheel loaders normally have one fixed and one floating axle, and here the rear axle moves very nicely. And the steering is also very good because the rams are quite stiff, and the total angle of movement seems quite realistic too. As far as travelling is concerned, it's a heavy model so it rolls really nicely and smoothly. And to complete the picture, let's put a full lock of steering on. And again it performs really well, helped in part by the rear wheels not being fixed to the same common axle. Now we move on to the all-important loading functions. At the bottom of travel, the bucket can hold a very good cut angle, and the model engineering is very good because it also holds a very good carry angle. So there's no problem at all at the lower end of the range. So let's now raise the bucket and see what happens at the top end. The rams are nice and stiff and will hold any pose, and the height of lift is very good. Also pleasing is that it has a decent tipping angle. It's time to give the cranes etc. weighbridge a test, so let's put the model on the scales and see what it comes out at. And it's over 6 pounds or nearly 3 kilograms. But of course, here's the really interesting question: does yellow weigh more than white? And for some strange reason, yellow weighs slightly less than white. That's all white then, so let's check the overall length. And it's about 14 inches or 36 centimetres. And what about the maximum height? And it's about 9.5 inches or 24 centimetres. Now it's time for the genuine imitation real-life test. Here we see the WA1200 loading up a big 400-ton mining truck. And it does a reasonable job of getting the bucket high enough, although it really needs extended loader arms for a truck of this size. Still, at Cranes Etc. we don't care if things match up properly, we just get the job done. Okay, so you don't like the attitude of the Cranes Etc. team, I get that, but there's no need to complain about it all day long. Here we have the WA1200 loading a 250-ton class mining truck. Just look at the skill of the operator as one rock is specially selected for a special ride. NZG has produced a big and impressive model of this Komatsu wheel loader. It also looks very good in the rare white limited edition colour scheme. The detailing and features are very good and it's a heavy chunk of metal. Although it's not a cheap model, it is big, and overall it's highly recommended.